Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast with me, Nikki Raby. I began this podcast in 2018 and I've produced over 400 episodes with an emphasis on dreaming and doing. But I know there is so much more to building a business and life that you love. It's definitely a work in progress. For the last 25 years, I've built a portfolio career as an actor, personal branding coach, writer, speaker, and podcaster. I love my pick and mix and curating my personal brand. I want to support you to create success on your terms. I've helped over 1,000 people to build a personal brand, and yes, I will be sharing with you business strategies around planning, packaging, presenting, and propelling your personal brand. But there is so much more to my work than that. I'm not interested in formulas, templates, or sleazy pants sales techniques. You know the ones. Instead, how would it feel to do things your way that align with your personality, circumstances, and goals? I'm going to be sharing conversations with some of my favorite people who are creating success on their terms to provide inspiration and encouragement. Also, there will be mini episodes where I take you behind the scenes, sharing how-tos, my coaching toolkit, chats about mindset, money, building momentum, and all through storytelling. After all, my clients have been known to call me the Queen of Analogies. So, thank you in advance for spending some time with me. Feel free to subscribe to be notified of the next episodes and follow across social media at Nikki Raby. You can catch up on previous episodes via my website, nikkiRaby.com, and also pick and mix, if you like, from my freebie shop. Right, let's crack on and start today's episode. Hello, it's Nikki. So there it is, the brand new name, the brand new intro. I'm really excited to share it with you. It's been a lot of work in the process, not actually recording the intro, but getting to that place where I know where I'm going. I mean, obviously it's a work in progress. I'm not saying like I've got my life plan completely sorted now, because it's forever changing, but it's been a lot behind the scenes, working it out and tweaking and really thinking, where do I want to go? But the good news is for you is there's loads of really great stuff to come, and I'm really excited, and as always very grateful that you spend some time with me. I know there's so many other places that you could be, so if you've been listening along since January 2018, I'm so thrilled that you're here. And also if you're new, welcome. Pour yourself a cup of tea, let's have a chat and see where we go. So I thought today and for the next few days, I would share with you a bit of a behind the scenes peek at how I came to this decision and the process and what it's all been like. Because I would never want you to think I've just come out behind the curtain and gone surprise and I click my fingers and it's all done. There's always much more to it than that. And hopefully me sharing a couple of these lessons and exercises and tools, you will in turn have that moment of really considering where you're going next and be able to take this information, put your own spin on it and apply it to your personal brand. So today I'm going to be talking about vision. And this is where I went back to when I had a niggle. And I know that vision on the internet is often portrayed as this, I'm sitting perfectly, I'm smiling at my computer, I've got my beautiful stationery, it's all set out, and I'm ready to bring on the vision. And for me, often that is not how it comes, which may not be any surprise to you. I can write a cracking to-do list or my 3 things that I'm going to work on or something to bear in mind. But generally, that vision moment comes in different places. So it can come from excitement and curiosity and coming up with an idea, those ones that surprise you in the middle of the night and you wake up and you suddenly have to scribble them all down, or you're in the shower and you suddenly have to run down your landing and get to your room or get to your office or wherever it might be and and capture those ideas or these moments which I don't like having, but they do come when we're out in the woods or on the heath or wherever I am with my children, where I have to say, sorry, I've just got to pause a minute. Mummy's just got to write something in my phone. And sometimes those 4 words I just need to capture at that time. But equally, the flip side of visioning can sometimes come from the ugly cry lessons. The moments where you hit rock bottom. The moments where you might consider changing direction and doubting whether you can do this anymore. And I think it's important to share the whole picture because especially after 2020, I think so many of us have realised the fragility of life and the importance of being really mindful about how we're spending our time and what's important and what is at the top of the priority list, I guess. I think so many of us noticed what we missed and the clarity has come because so many of us stopped and reflected and had more time at home. And it feels like a lot of the brightness has been turned up. I do this exercise a lot with clients when I'm asking them to really hone in on what they want and turning up that brightness, because so often I think when we get busy, it can seem a bit foggy or we're just not having the time to be able to notice. So I came to a point with this podcast where I thought, okay, I've launched in January 2018. I mean, my goodness, that feels so long ago now. I've delivered, I was going to say consistently, but that's not true. You're probably thinking, no, Nikki, we actually never know when this podcast is coming out, but we're here and we're subscribed, so we'll just go with it. Believe me, this is something that I'm working on, but more of that in another conversation. I've produced and created and hosted 400 episodes, and I was having that moment of where next? And not because I'm not grateful for the success of it, but I know there's more I can do. There's a bigger impact that I can have. There are more voices I want to share. I also want to take it to the next level professionally as well. Now, I'm a huge advocate of working with what you have at the time. And I would never undo any of the things that I've done up until this point, because I know that this podcast has been game-changing in big and small ways. But equally, I think having that moment of going, right, I'm ready to go to the bigger playground now, or I want to see what else is out there. And I've seen it at certain points where I've done things in my career where I've really felt that I've played full out. So I'm going to use this dancing analogy. When I was a kid, you might be in rehearsals for a show or a performance, something like that, and you might just mark through the moves. So you might just go da 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 da, and then you turn and flip and you land and big finish. And then there's that moment where you do the show and you play full out. Like, I have got big arms, I am smiling, I'm giving all the things, and you can feel that rush of energy in you. That moment of acceleration. I'm going to use that word. And I know there is a place that I can get to with the podcast that is that full out version. And this marking version, I don't want to dumb down anything that I've done, because you might be listening to this and going, yeah, but you've done that and you've got 400 episodes, and don't be so hard on yourself, Nikki. And for the most part, I do feel like I'm somewhere in between marking it and playing full out, because I would never want you to think that I'm just kind of going through the motions. And maybe that's what's happened with the consistency as well, is that I only release something when I feel like I've really got something to say and I can be in flow with it. But I've noticed that maybe looking around my peers, maybe seeing what other things are out there, there's that niggle in me that goes, oh, I'd like to have a go at that. Let's just see what I could be capable of here. To Talking of professionalism, I've just have to move to another room because there's some building work going on at the back. Yes, it is still going on. And yes, I have asked when the finishing date is. Anyway, what I wanted to share is going back to this vision and knowing how I can play full out and what that looks like to me. Again, this is really important to identify what it looks like to you, because that's what I'm all about. I'm all about defining your own version of success and creating your pick and mix within that. So I went to this vision, and before I went to my vision of like, this is the house that I want to live in and this is where I want to go on holiday and all the kind of jazzy vision board stuff, like this is how I want to feel in my fancy sportswear or whatever it might be. I feel a bit bad actually because I haven't actually mentioned my friends and family. Of course, relationships are very important to me as well. But when I went back to that vision, I went back to asking myself who I wanted to talk to, who I wanted to support. And I also went back to how I approach acting work. So before I go on a stage as an actor, you have to work, as Stanislavski would say, with the given circumstances. And those given circumstances dictate how you play the scene. So, for example, if you know that somebody has just died in the last scene, it's going to affect how you move forward and what you do in the next scene and how you play it. So there is that kind of through line through what you're doing. And I started to notice when people would listen to the podcast and when I would be tagged or when I would have comments. And usually it would come down to this common denominator of, I just need a bit of time. I just need a bit of time to myself. Or I'm just going to go on a walk and I'm just going to listen to something. Or I just need a piece of motivation. Or I just need a bit of something. And this is really valuable information to me. And I started to also analyze how I use podcasts as well. And this time of year is bringing up all the feels for me because I was very heavily pregnant with my son 6 years ago. And just that first 6 months of his life, I noticed so many of my fellow coaches talking about their first 6-figure year or whatever it might be. And I was still very much in a place of going, I don't have the time or the space to do all of the things that I want. I certainly don't have the energy. I'm certainly not feeling good in myself, and I'm adjusting to motherhood. And I was sleeping maybe 1 or 2 hours a night, if that. And I got to a point where I had to really realize what was accessible to me and try and live in that glass half full situation. So I used to listen to a lot of podcasts. I was in the conversation, but yet not speaking. I was listening to things, I was absorbing them, I was taking them on walks, and I was making notes as I went. And I really realized that that is the beauty of podcasts. The beauty of podcasts is that you can pick and choose and create your own pick and mix whenever you want. And so what I want to do with this podcast as part of my vision is really listen to what it is that you want and what is missing for you. Because I think already we've seen this after the pandemic that people don't want to talk about 6-figure years or 7-figure years or 7-figure weekends or whatever that might be. There's so much more to life than this hustle harder external success, like I did this launch and I made this much. There's so many other things that we want to consider. How we want to feel, how we want to flourish, how we want to thrive, what we think about certain things, what other circumstances or considerations we need to take into account when we're growing our brand. So when I kept going back to this vision, I was really understanding who this person is and what might move them from going, I need to just go for a walk around the block for 10 minutes and I'm going to listen to Nikki's podcast because I might get something from it. And that's really made me realize, what do I want to take with this content and how can I serve you further? So I'm going to go into this in the next episode in more detail about how it's kind of working with my business and what I want to do and take it in that way. But certainly with the vision, I want to bring more ease and flow. So for example, if you like a podcast that is with an interview with a creative, for example, I want you to get to a point where you might listen and go, oh, I really like that about a creative. Maybe I want to be a creative. Maybe I need more creative conversations, and go to a place where you can access more of what it is that you want. Likewise, if I talk about money or growth or mindset, that you are able to do that and access those episodes as well. Because here's another thing I need to share. So many of you are not telling anybody else that you are listening to this podcast. Maybe you're not telling anybody else about what other content that you are consuming. Because sometimes, if you're like me as well, you need to process it and explore it before you discuss with somebody else. And I've noticed this pattern in terms of my own business as well. The number of times where somebody has said to me, it feels really good to say that out loud. I've never told anybody that before. I know that it is a very intimate experience being in your ears. I don't mean that to sound creepy or sleazy. I'm so sorry. And I want you to know that I'm never going to take that for granted, because the ideas and the thoughts and the feelings and the aha moments and the I'm never effing doing that again hopefully will cause that ripple effect in your life and business, where suddenly you open up possibilities, or you think about things in a different way, or you become excited, or you stop doing the thing that you actually don't want to do. So that's why I had to go back to vision. Before I got to the glossy, like the numbers, like I want to be having this number of downloads every single month, or these are the people that I want to talk to because I know they've got loads of followers. No, it's never been about that. And going back to my vision and my purpose, and if that is really clear, then I know that it will grow organically. I know that, absolutely. Whereas if you chase that, it's like going to a party and somebody going, oh my God, hi, I really want to talk to that. I've seen it in so many parties actually, where somebody's talking to you and then they see somebody that's famous and they're like, okay then, bye. And you're just left going, oh, that didn't feel good. You know that I'm all about the feeling good. So this is what I want you to take away from today's episode. What's your vision? What's important? What is underlying all of the pillars of your brand, your life? What things do you want to have in place? Almost not coming from the ego point of view of like, I want to earn this money. I want to go here. I want to have a conversation with this person. What is your mission? What is your purpose? Who are the people that you're actually connecting with on that human level? As always, thank you so much for being with me. Do spread the word. There's so much to come. Over the next few days, I will be back with some more behind the scenes stuff, less washing machines, less building works. Let's hope, hey? And for now, I'm going to send you so much love. Thank you once again. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Success Pick and Mix podcast. Bye for now.